of the Court of Appeal, which upheld Adeleke's election victory. And it will be recalled that Osun State governorship election petition tribunal had on January 27th, in a split decision, voided the declaration of Adeleke of the PDP as the winner of the gubernatorial election. Now, this just brings us back to the beavers, the drama of the transmission onto IREV, and what a lot of people are sharing in terms of their thoughts about the presidential election, which held in February.
As a matter of fact, the beavers situation was one confusing one, because people were like, how can you have a case of overvoting if you have this watertight technology? It was from that point the Nigerians, I guess, started understanding how the beavers works, and the fact that it can still happen if people try to, beat the system. But it's also, a stopgap to saying, if you think you can beat the system, we're one step ahead at the end of the day in terms of the use of the beavers. But it turned out in its favor altogether. I'm a little curious of your interpretation of this, sir.
Well, thank you. First of all, we are grateful that this has come to a head. At least the man can now face
governance.
And I think this is the reason why some people are saying that there should be swearing in. We should be done with election issues before swearing in, because there are issues that there are some decisions that the governor maybe probably wanted to take some time ago, but he's been wondering. I don't know what's going to happen. I may not be here for long. Let's just be sure that we've dealt with this. And then, in a country like ours, when you have AIDS and all of those other guys, they might just be thinking that, look, you never know what can happen. Let's help ourselves. You understand? So it can be a cause. This is one of the causes of corruption, in government. So thankfully they've dealt with this, and I think the man can now face whatever the issues are before him. But I'm not surprised, because Adeleke seems to be a very popular person. First of all, his background, his family. Not just that the family is popular. The family is popular with the people. You can be famous, you can be a big man and everything, but the people are not really with you.
Yeah.
So it looks like the family is with him. First of all, his elder brother was the former governor of the state. I think the first civilian governor, elected governor of the state, is the late brother, the late Adeleke, the senator. And then when the man passed on, Adeleke was brought in to come and take his place. He did. He won the Senate, because the guy was in Senate. He was supposed to be going for governorship, the very one that the Adeleke, I think, was it this one? I think I've forgotten now. So I think it was the second term of Adegbeshola or something. And then the man died, and the brother came to show he's quite popular. He won. And then, if you recall, when Adeleke came in, that election that brought in Adeleke was very controversial. They had to be NASS had to declare the election inconclusive. And even at the time, the senator was winning with a wide margin, So the election was declared inconclusive. They came back after like 2 or 3 weeks, and then something happened, and Adeleke was declared governor. So people believe that he won. They came up with a lot of things. They say he didn't have a certificate, he didn't have all of that. I think the man went back. He said he didn't have a certificate. If he didn't finish school, the guy went back to America and got a degree,
I remember that got a lot of us talking back then, and he improved himself.
Yes, he went to improve himself. You understand? Not really. I think it's not really that. Yes, it's an improvement, but he probably would not have needed it. But just because the Nigerian thing, you need to have this and all of that, because his opponents were using, they say he's not even educated. He doesn't even have school cert. Where's his school cert? He failed maths, he failed English and all of those stuff. So the man went to America and got a degree and came back. And to show that the people are still with him. He ran again. He started, there were controversies even from the primary and everything. And he won Adeleke. It wasn't difficult to see that he was going to win that election. For another reason was, Adeleke didn't have that that reinforcement that he had at the beginning, because he had issues with the former governor, who is now the Minister of Interior, Adegbeshola. So Adegbeshola he lost that part of support, with all of that fight and everything. So all of Adegbeshola's people, because Adegbeshola was backing someone else, because he fell out with Adeleke. Adeleke was not going to support him again. So he had somebody else, but in the primaries, whatever happened, it's difficult to beat a governor in the same party. So I think the people, they withdrew, and it's like they gave their support to Adeleke. So it was clear that, so I don't see how he was going to win all of this one. But whatever happened, he won at the election, the tribunal, and we're all curious because the reason given was, wow, how? Overvoting? How did overvoting happen? They couldn't prove it. And so thanks to what has happened, so I think the man can now face governance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned something about needing to wait a good amount of time before any person is sworn in to allow for ample time in trying the cases and ensure that they focus on the job once they're getting. Now, the issue on ground is about the presidential election. A lot of people are having different thoughts as to what could go wrong and if indeed the tribunal would be able to handle the case in good time before May 29, even though that doesn't necessarily seems visible. But the tribunal have constantly spoken to the lawyers and those who are trying the cases to ensure that they don't try to delay anything based on technicalities, because they want to be able to do everything in ample time, handle the situation, and have Nigeria move forward and focus on what is really important, which is the growth of the country and the leaders which will be coming in to focus on that job. But what is a good enough time? Because regardless of how good in court the election is, there would always be complaints as to it wasn't done the right way, or the right person did not get the chance to emerge, or it was rigged. There would always be that issue. So should there be a law of some sort? Should we revisit our constitution to ensure that until these cases are properly handled, in order to prevent the power of incumbency or whatever it is to influence how the case will be tried once the person gets sworn in, there is that is handled before whoever it is sworn into power?
Well, sure, it's very possible because incumbency power in Nigeria is a reality. And if you notice, it used to take like 3 years.
Back in the day.
Yes. I recall that I think it took almost 3 years or 2 years plus for Oshomole, to regain his mandate. It took over 3 years for Aregbesola to regain his mandate from Oyinlola, who was governor of Osun State at the time. Fayemi, it took more than 2 years, before the court removed Shaguoni in Ekiti State. We have other examples, That's how bad it was.
I mean, the reason why we have all of these off-cycle elections is a function of all of that.
Peter Obi, it took over 3 years, for Peter Obi. Okay, so you see that there's been a remarkable reform, to be honest, from about 3 years to 180 days. That's what we have now. So, and you see, Nigeria is big. I heard people make example with Kenya. So Kenya took just about a month or whatever. Nigeria is not Kenya. Nigeria is not Kenya. Nigeria is big. All those, before you can call all those witnesses, bring evidences from different, some in the Greeks, far, some places, some very distant places, it takes a while. So you don't compare Nigeria with Kenya. The 160 days we have now, 180 days, that's about 6 months.
Yeah.
Not really bad. It's not bad. If you make it too early, it can also lead to injustice. If you make it, you say justice delayed is justice denied. Okay? So if it's delayed, it also can occasion injustice. So what do we do?
How about moving our election forward a bit, or
perfect.
backward?
Now perfect. Now that's where we should be going. So what we need to do now is to hold elections and say, look, 6 months. Elections should be held 6 months before swearing in. If we do that, then we arrive at exactly where we're talking about. Okay, I think that's what we should do. And the people have been calling on the 10th assembly that is coming, that they need. And I think everyone has seen that at no time in our history have we had this type of elections. I heard that some people protested today. I think I saw a video of people.
Yesterday there were pockets of people protesting in their city.
So everywhere is uptight and what have you. So I think it's clear that the next assembly needs to look at it. They need to do something about it. It makes sense that all of these things should be determined. We're just looking at Adeleke now. You understand? Because when you come in, you don't have any other issues to contend with in court. No one is challenging you. You've dealt with all those things, then you just come in and you hit the ground running. That's why even when people say hit the ground running, it's not easy to hit the ground running. When you can't run with people chasing you here and there. So this one is stole my mandate and all of that. Well, particularly when it has to do with governorship. If it's an executive, if it's governorship or presidential, if it's those guys in the House of Assembly, no problem. You can just do what you need to. Once they remove you, the other guy continues from where you are.
But then, I remember when they removed a legislator somewhere from Benue State and people, it was asked to refund everything that they had used up. I don't know if it ever happened, but there's also something that nature in terms of the resources.
Yes. That's the only new thing that when you are in the legislature, the only new thing they added to their own department is that because what used to happen in that area before is when you contest an election, even if you don't win, they push you and then they announce your name, and the idea is that they know that it's going to take about 3 years or 2 years. So the idea is go help yourself, gather as much as you can. If they remove you with that, you should be able to fight. That's part of, again, the incumbency thing we talk about. You follow. So with that money that you are getting, they're paying you. Well, a legislator told us that the Senate used to go on with about 14 million every month. You remember? It was Senator Shehu Sani who came and said they were paid 14 million, and I think nothing has changed. 14 million every month for a senator, and then they call that whatever allowance. That's not their salary and other whatever. And then when you are in juicy committees, you see all this fighting going around, following some people. Say, hey, it's for those committee positions. Nobody just wants any kind of committee. You want a very juicy one. You want custom, you want an NPC, you want, the juicy ministries and departments. You want to.
And I'm sure we're going to have that juicy conversation once the 10th Assembly is set up.
Of course, that's the reason for all the things you are seeing. And so. You want to, if you are lucky to be in one of those places, you help yourself. Whatever you are getting from there, you are fighting your opponent who is still struggling, who has spent money, a lot of money, And while you are doing that, if with that money you should be able to fight to stay. Okay. But if something happens and you are removed at all, at least you have gotten something.
You've gotten your investment.
So the new thing they added is all those allowances, that 14 million they have collected for all those number of years, you should pay it into the account of the. I think there's an account, but it doesn't work.
Let's go on this break and we'll have you continue your thoughts.
Thank you very much.
This is Nigeria Info.
Osun State Governor, I beg your pardon, and it's from the Supreme Court, so I think case closed at this point in time. We're live on YouTube and Facebook at Nigeria Info ABJ. We see Matthew Julius Ebere Joseph, Ani Ministries, and God's Power Effiong with us on our YouTube page and quite a number of people on Facebook with us. Let's look at a few of the messages on Facebook and get to the next story.
All right, Kanglo Oladeji Daniel says we need a reform in our electoral system. Kenya to start it from somewhere. The electronic transmission would have saved us all of this. And Dennis Sampson says, I can see people praising the same courts they don't have any hopes in. Welcome to Nigeria. Cosmos Francis says, well done, Kim and Itodo. Good afternoon to our guest, watching from Area 3, Garki. And also Omaga Namani, watching from Amangunze, says, good afternoon. The victory for Adeleke is a victory for democracy, and I commend the Supreme Court for upholding his victory. Thanks and God bless.
All right, let's get to the 10th Assembly and see how the leadership is coming together. There seems to be a lot of lobbying. No, we have not gotten to the GC committee level. It's just how we constitute the leadership of the red and the green chamber at this point in time. Orji Uzor Kalu, Chief Whip of the Senate, says he would serve Nigeria with sincerity as Senate President. Kalu's position was contained in the letter addressed to the All Progressive Congress leadership and 108 senator-elects on Monday. His letter came hours after the ruling party nominated Godswill Akpabio, a former Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, for Senate President, and Barau Jibril, Senator representing Kano North, as Deputy Senate President. The former governor of Abia State says he possesses what it takes to make the 10th Assembly successful. I'm not going to bore you with all of the details of his letter. In summary, make me Senate President is what he's saying. However, we see the position of the party concerning who they see as preferred candidate, and Akpabio and Dume, also someone who is interested in that particular position, is saying Akpabio is not APC anointed candidate for Senate President, only a preferred choice. And perhaps maybe it has legal interpretation, anointing and preferred, because it feels like if you're the preferred one, they're going to give you all of their backings and anointing to go ahead. But the politics of the leadership of the National Assembly, I have been following from, I think, the 7th Assembly, 8th, 9th Assembly. It's always been quite interesting.
Yeah.
How they come up. And the 8th Assembly was the most interesting, the height of it, given the fact party wanted one, leadership of the party wanted one. Yeah. Somehow they were having a meeting somewhere before you know it, Saraki emerged.
Yes.
This one isn't coming with so much of the drama, but we're not there yet. You never can tell what kind of plot twist we're going to see at the end of the day. A lot of people are bringing issues about region representation, saying that you have, from the southwest and the northeast. Perhaps you should have number 3 man coming from maybe the southeast. Some people are clamoring for that. Others are saying it shouldn't be about religion or region. It should be about competence. But that is naturally expected at this point. But it's sending trepidation among some interested candidates within the political party. I know you don't have a crystal ball, but it'd be interesting to get, to hear from you. How do you see all of this playing out? I know this is just the politics of it on the front, but do you think this issue about, the religion, saying that we have the Muslim, it should be integral in how the leadership of the National Assembly should be formed? Should region also play a role in the places where they don't have representation at this point in time?
Well, thank you. My take is, at this point, we should not bother about region. Because region. When we started, they said that did not matter. It did not. I remember the fracas it caused in the PDP, because in the PDP, some people said that since President Buhari is from the north and he's had almost 8 years, the next president should come from the south. It generated some issues there. It led to some people leaving. Some people were angry and they left. And I remember how Wike fought until the end, Governor Wike. And then while in that of the north was about the region, in the PDP, why that of the PDP? I mean, in the PDP, in the APC, it was about religion. It was about religion, Muslim, and all of that. And at the beginning, it made sense. But some of the guys now who are now saying, no, you should go to this region, they were the ones who told us in the beginning that it did not matter whether a Muslim ticket was played, that what mattered was capacity, merit, and all of that. So how come merit is, they don't want merit now to be the yardstick? Okay? How come they now say, no, in the interest of justice, in the interest of our unity, But then you said it was not a problem. All right. So left to me, I think since we have started with merit, let's continue.
let's continue.
Yes, let's start. We started with merit. Let's end it with merit. If you are not qualified, you should not be Senate President. You should not be Speaker. In any case, if I might ask, the last Senate President, the current Senate President is from Yobe State, Northeast. How did that help Northeast? How did that help anyone from Yobe State? How did that help Nigeria? How did that help any of us? Okay? So, even if you bring the next Senate President, even if it's from your village, it's not going to change anything. It's not going to add anything. But then there's also the issue of
representation, given our diversity. Every region wants to feel like they are.
Yeah, but you see, but that's why you have elected somebody from your you are not electing the person to go and be Senate President. That's not the reason you elected him. You elected the person to go and speak for you. Sometimes, have you noticed that the best representatives are not the principal officers? You understand? Because if you're a principal, how many times have you seen or have you heard a principal officer saying anything or doing or fighting for his constituency? How many times? The people who speak, we know those who. What's the name of the senator from Abaribe? Is very popular. It's very no wonder even though he left the PDP and went to another party, he came back. Ndume is very popular. Ndume, the best he got was just majority leader for a while. But even then, even before then, right from the house, Ndume has always been very outspoken. Okay? And who else? What other name do you remember? There are a few people who are always, talking, whether in the House and in the Senate and all of that. But Ambila was more useful to Nigeria and maybe to his constituency as an ordinary member of the House, and then later minority leader. But now as Speaker, so nobody's getting anything. It's not about Nigeria. It's not. They tell you, when it's convenient for them, they tell you, he has to be a Christian or he has to be a Muslim or he has to be from the southeast or from the south. But it's not true. It's about them. When they are saying, it has to go to the southeast, it's because he's from the southeast. You understand? So since we have finished, and if we want to go by merit, none of these guys is qualified. If we want to go by merit, we have ranking members in the Senate. We have the Senator Bara, who they are asking now to be deputy. I think he and Ndume. I think they've been. Ndume has been in National Assembly, I guess, since from 1999 or so. First of all, in the House of Reps. He was in the House of Reps for a very long time before he went to Senate. Either 1999 or 2003. I know that Ndume has been in the National Assembly. That's how long he's been in the National Assembly. Okay? So why don't we consider Ndume? Why don't we consider the Senator Barrow? Why? You see, the APC has a penchant for rewarding people who did not suffer with them. I remember what APC went through before they got this power. You understand? And some of these people, when PDP who fought them, who didn't want them to get to where they are today, these are the people they are rewarding. How do you leave a man like Ndume has never been a member of PDP. He's always been AMPP and then APC.
Okay.
This Senator Barrow, I'm not sure he has been a member of PDP. I think he has always been opposition, AMPP and what have you, and then APC. Then you're not rewarding those people. It's people who fought you, who didn't want you here. And you know something? I believe that if PDP had won this 2019 election, a lot of these guys would have just come back. And then probably go and tell their people that, you know what, we went there to just to go and act as spoilers. That's the reason. That's the excuse that they will give so that they can accept them back. Then there's this governor who has never been. You see, they just love power. You are a former governor. You're a sitting governor. You just won election to the Senate. You have never been to the Senate. You've never been a legislator, even at the House of Assembly, and you want to be Senate President. Tell me if that is not inordinate ambition. If that is not,
would even the rules allow for that to happen?
Well, they'll tell you that the rule is not the Constitution of Nigeria. It's just a rule. That's what they'll tell you. Sometimes you can bend the rule if you really want to. Senator Akpabio was made minority leader as a first timer. They had to bend the rule for him to be minority leader. You understand? They did that. I heard one senator who was saying that they did that for him, even though because you have to be a ranking senator. But there were other senior people, but for some reasons they allowed him because Akpabio can talk. He's outspoken, So they shifted ground and allowed him to be. So if they really that's what they want to do, they can do that. But you see, when that is what sort of ambition is that? You've not learned the ropes. You are just coming in. You want to be Senate president. If they give you that gavel, as you sit down there, how would you preside over the house? You don't know the rules. You want them to start. You want when you are sitting down, somebody to start whispering something into your ears and tell you. I mean, you want to cause. But it looks steady.
They have some sort of training before they get sworn in, so they're giving that opportunity to understand how the process works. And for anybody who gets elected into that office, you would assume that they are qualified, so they are able to run for whatever positions are available at that point in time. And it's a learning process. Even those who have been there long enough get to learn something new, as their tenure progresses.
You see, in every aspect of, let me say, life or discipline or whatever, even this place where you are sitting, or where you are seated now, you don't just take a rookie and put him there. He has to observe. Why do you think they made that rule? Experience no longer. Why is it that now experience it's not going to count for some people? But they're not the ones doing when it's president say no, you need experience. But because they are selfish. Now because you are interested in this position, you now say no, the rule doesn't matter. It's the Constitution of Nigeria doesn't say that you must have spent at least a term before you can be Senate president. But there's a reason why that rule is there, and that rule has always been there. Do you know how many governors? Do you know how many past governors are in the Senate who just sat down, were coming for the first time and they just observed? You are just coming now, you want to be. Okay? And now, and then these are the guys who told you, okay, a governor told us that, a governor from the Southeast told us that it did not matter, that the reason he was leaving PDP was because PDP had not been fair. So PDP hasn't been fair to the Southeast. So PDP has not been fair to the Southeast. PDP has done all of that, blah, blah. So he went to PDP. He went to APC. Okay? He contested for president. He said APC was willing to zone to the Southeast. He went to contest. He got only the votes from his state. Now the governor contested the election for Senate. He won election. He wants to be Senate president. Now that one is not going. He has lost that one. I say, they are going to give that the Igbos should not worry. Why are we like this? It pains me. Sometimes these are the guys that make people get tired. And I mean, what's going on? You understand? So this all these things they're fighting for. Just know one thing: they're not fighting to help anybody. Is this the only country where we watch elections in other countries, in other advanced countries, and we're happy? We see how they elect their leaders. Controversy, nothing. We see there. We see. Look at the Senate in the U.S. Charles Schuller, whether it's Max Schuller, was his name also. He was minority leader. As soon as they won majority, seamlessly he just moved to the majority. No noise, nothing. You understand? So you could say he's there. He's like the Senate president of the U.S. Although constitutionally he's the vice president. The vice president doesn't sit except where they're there to take certain decisions. Vice president is not there. The leader of the Senate is the head of the Senate in America. Is the majority leader. We saw how Nancy Pelosi, who was minority leader, also became the speaker. The only person who had issues is the current one, who some guys were just against him, but they knew that anyhow, no matter how long it took, he was going to be the speaker. And he became speaker. And there's nothing like, nobody's, okay, they are going to Transcorp and doing all kinds, going everywhere. The last one, they even went and rented one, whether it's an office or a place in Transcorp where they were having me. That was like an office. Because you want to be Senate leader. You want to be the president of the Senate. It's about the perks of that office. It's big. It's about to be the president of the Senate. Number 3 citizen.
Number 3.
And it's
huge.
big. You have a long convoy of about maybe 12 cars or 10 cars. And then whatever you want, especially if you want to if you say you're a rubber stamp, whatever, you have whatever you want.
Well, but number 3 is huge in Nigeria.
It's huge.
Actually.
It's certainly huge.
But here's something else.
So it's the hugeness of the office that they are after. It's not. They're not going to change anyone's life. Nobody's life is going to change
on that basis. But here is something.
So they should not bring it to tribe. Just say you want to be Senate president. Don't say, it's because I'm from here. They should give it to the Southeast, or they should give it to the South, or they should reward.
So that's their
they should reward Christians. They should you said they should reward. Okay, the president and the vice president are Muslims, right? So the Senate president should, of course, be a Christian. As in how? Why must the Senate president be a Christian? Why?
But is
it because it's going to help Christians?
For some people,
they're not going to help us. So we don't care.
To be represented out there.
It is back to representation, actually.
Yes, representation. We don't have Christian representation in government. We have constituency representation. So we have elected our senator. Let the senator go there and speak for us. Okay? Like I said, all the ones that have held offices, have principal offices. What? Nothing changed. The next thing you hear is that okay, look at what's the senator, this House of Reps guy who was in Kanu, the Kanu guy, the appropriation committee chairman. I've forgotten his name now.
Yeah.
You know, who came out with budget padding at the time. So budget was padded. He revealed how many.
Farouk, what's his name again?
You know, he told us how much in the padding of the budget, how much the speaker got, how much the majority leader is. All the principal officers just share the money, 1 point something billion. This one got 2 billion. This one got this one, all of that. That's what it's about. Nothing changed for the people who are in their constituency, people who voted for them and who sent them there. Nothing changed.
Senator
Jibril. Thank you. Nothing changed. So the maximum that can happen is, okay, maybe when he's there, he just takes one or few things. You know how we are. He just when he goes there, shares on sewing machines out of the billions that he's gotten from this place. You know, you go and buy some sewing machine. Sometimes they just take some. Is it what you call eye doctor? Is it ophthalmologist or whatever? You just take a few of them there. They'll gather. They say they check their eyes and they give them what do you call it? Eye drops. You know, the people will be shouting. Woo! They'll be shouting for them. They'll be doing all kind of. You understand? Just take like maybe 50 million. With 50 million out of all the billions that you've gotten. If you go there, just something, everybody will just be praising you. How long are we going to continue?
How do we get to a point, wherein we move past it being about religion, region, where you're from? Because we see the North Central also clamoring for wanting to be a part of, taking vital positions as well in the National Assembly, as well as the Southeast, even though the South says it's our turn to produce Senate President. But how do we get to a point wherein we look past all of this and focus on who is more credible, who's going to deliver and be answerable to citizens? You know, it's here when we get wiser. Now, the South saying it's our turn. Your turn to do what? The South man was president for about 6 years. It was, okay, we allowed it to be your turn for 6 years. So what happened? What's happening in the South? If someone was president for 6 years and he couldn't do much for his people, what is he going to do? What is the Senate president going to do? I told you it's about them. It's not about people from the South. Almost all out of, okay, there was a time when the 5 states from the South produced the Senate president from 1999 to 2007. In 8 years, 5 states of the Southeast produced a Senate president each. We still had bad roads. The worst roads in Nigeria were still in the Southeast. Okay? None of them could even influence the government to build the much touted second Niger bridge. It took President Buhari, to come and put that bridge there. So what changed? Nothing. So we should know by now. See, it's not about religion. It's not about religion. It's because, you see, it's just something that they just whipped up, just to confuse us and maybe because we are not wise. Okay? I lived in Maiduguri. And I knew that in Maiduguri, at the time, in school, Maiduguri is a Muslim state. I wouldn't say Muslim state, it's a northern state. Yes, dominantly Muslim. Yes, but if you come to Maiduguri, you will see that the dominant is this thing. But you see, we had governors then who would feed students in school. Whether day or day school, I'm not talking about being boarding school now, I'm talking about day schools. They'll feed children in day schools. They gave children uniform. They gave children in school so many things. Do you know that in Maiduguri, then in Borno State, those who wrote WAEC, whether you're an Igbo, you are Yoruba, you are this thing, there were parents that didn't even know what they called WAEC fees. The state was paying WAEC fees for everybody. That was Nigeria. Nobody said Muslim or Christian. That was the kind of Nigeria we had. And I'm sure it was the same in many parts of the country. I also schooled in Igbo land, in Enugu. I know I have this experience in the past. Is it not that same Enugu? You understand? Is it not the same Enugu around 1952 that they elected a Fulani man as the first, not second, not third,
first mayor of Enugu. First. Not only that, they even gave the man their daughter as wife, a certain Grace. They gave to him as wife. They loved him. They didn't mind because then we were one. Now, in that election, it was not a selection. There were other Igbo people that contested. But because this man, a son of Usman Danfodio, who came to live with them, who was with them, who had become part of, they loved him. They loved him and they said, why not? We are one. They rejected other Igbo people and voted for him. And he became the first mayor of Enugu. I heard that even, I think a few years ago, the Enugu people, although the man had died since, but they tried to, I think there was something they did, just to commemorate his memory. His family came around and all of that. That was Nigeria. Nobody bothered, and the man was a Muslim. Nobody cared whether he was a Muslim or a Christian. So what happened? So how come that we're in another election where another Igbo man was contesting? Those same people forgot that these people, maybe Peter Obi's, to be honest, I'm not campaigning for Peter Obi, but I'm just looking at Nigeria and I'm angry because it's not the kind of Nigeria that we grew up in. I'm just saying, look, if you're a Yoruba man and you're not good, you're not good. If you're from Benue, you're not good, we won't vote for you. We won't do that. Why can't we just say, oh no, this people, instead they say, no, they are Igbos. Have you forgotten what they did the other time? How do you reciprocate that? Okay, if you think that this man is not good, just say, no, I think he's not competent. I think for so and so reason I'd rather be here. Don't say because he's Igbo. Don't say because he's Hausa. Yeah. And I just told you that in the same north where I lived, you understand, there were governments that didn't care whether you are an Igbo man or Yoruba man. They said, no, we are Nigeria, we are one. Pays fees for everybody. So what happened? How come we have a democracy? Democracy is a beautiful thing if you do it well. If we don't follow the rules of democracy, it becomes like a parody. We're just playing games. Okay. And so we are destroying the democracy the hard-earned democracy.
We've looked at religion, we've looked at region. I see a lot of people itching to contribute, but we've not also looked at the gender perspective of this, because it doesn't feel like we have a lot of women. Who are coming forward. If we're going to say 2 men, president and vice president, and if you're looking at the number of elected women, we missed a shot in Adamawa State. The politics of it was too confusing. Yes. It would kill us to have, female occupying some sensitive. And I know a coalition of women are saying, see, they're going to prevent the inauguration of the 10th Assembly if we do not have women constituting the leadership. I see a smile on your face now, but hey, it's serious at this point.
I think that there's no way that among the principal officers, we're not going to have women. But I also believe women have not played their game well.
How many of them are there enough to have, that advantage?
Well, the problem they have, they could throw too much towards the men. You understand? Then they hardly stand on their. You see, most of the I listen to them sometimes when they come on air, to talk and everything. I mean, it's all just talk. You understand? Now, women don't have to. When I look at women don't have to. Why do you want people to allocate posts to you? Why?
Patriarchy.
No. Yes, because
inequality.
You know what? Because
begging for equity at this point in time to reflect.
In 2023.
Sir, we know the disadvantage that women have suffered over time, and not just in Nigeria. So anything to make it a lot easier is welcome.
No, you see, women, we have good numbers here. But do you know that in all of these elections, do you know how many women contested that didn't win? Forget about the Adamawa one, because that one had K-leg. We're talking about real time, real elections. Women contested, but they didn't vote for them. You know, I don't like women to be begging. See, I recall a few years ago, I was at Command Secondary School. I started at Command Secondary School, Jos. That was my school. Now I was in Form 3. That was shortly before SSC. Now, one day we had a commandant who just came in, and he said he just decided for the first time to call out the best 3 students in all the sets. So he started with Form 1, he called out first, second, third, everybody would clap when they assembled. So when he got to my class, my set, Form 3, the man just said, the commandant came, had the list. Number 1, I'll not forget, Stella Nelson. People clap, we're shocked. We didn't know that, a girl, Stella Nelson. And she looked quiet and everything. We didn't know she was a brilliant girl. The person we knew was a brilliant guy, was another guy. We thought, well, just in a while, just calm down. It's going to be Kende Yusuf. No? Stella Nelson. People clap. And then we looked at her and said, Stella Nelson. Okay. Number 2, Fali Lat. Another girl. Number 3, Mercy Irene. Even the commandant, just like you said, this masculine thing. The commandant was embarrassed and he said, all the boys should stand up. You understand? So we all stood up. We just stood up, and the man started dressing us down. He was disappointed. He was and that was the only set that girls took first, second, third. Only our set. You understand? So it kind of changed the way we used to look at the girls. These girls, incidentally, the three of them are medical doctors today. The three of them. So so we knew that. Look, suddenly we realized that women too, they have it. They are brilliant. And we have many brilliant women. That's why I said in 2023, we have seen a lot of brilliant people in this country. I don't want to mention, can I start mentioning names? I don't want to, let me not waste our time. We know them. We know all the women that have made this country very proud, both internationally, and we see this girl that ran and got gold medal recently and everything. You understand? So women have this number, but you see something? I'm not impressed with the way women have carried on. Look, if you look at the Ministry of Women Affairs, what's going on there? Tell me, which women are they helping? They created a ministry that should help women. Just like we created a Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs that should help Niger Delta. Niger Delta is even worse, even with the ministry.
I'm glad you brought that example.
It's the same thing that we have here. When you say Ministry of Women Affairs, you're not helping any woman. We had one society, one that they call Society of, was that National Society of something women. The only thing they fight for leadership that to be president, because once you are the National Council of something women, they used to have office in area 11. Once you have that, what happens is that they now move. Once you are the president, you become very close to the first lady. Wherever the first lady is going, you follow her, and then if you are lucky, you become a minister. That's what they use all these things just to help them. They're not helping women at all. Okay, if we're talking now, you say a lot of women didn't come. How many women in APC? In the APC, how many women did APC produce? Some people have. They were questioning an interview the women leader of the APC. I listened to her interview on one of the TV channels, and she was like, okay, that Asiwaju is going to give women Asiwaju. They were asking her what happened. You see, the problem is the women leader. You were going to elect a woman leader. You see, if you want to elect a woman leader, you should elect a real woman leader. A woman that when people see, they say, this woman can carry people along. Not this thing that they share. They just call you, your governor of social state, give us candidate, you go and bring anybody. Look, during the convention here, I saw the fight for that woman leadership. Did you watch it on TV? The lady, one Mary, who was the chairman, who was the DG of Women Commission, the Women, what's the name of this place? Women Development Center, opposite CBN. Yes, that was, the lady is from Cross River State. She contested for it. And you know what? That woman, it has been with Buhari since she was CPC. She has been a CPC person. She was CPC governorship candidate when CPC was nothing. I'm very unpopular.
Can we hold you here quickly and just run for a break and take it up after that? Stay with us.
Stimulating talk. Nigeria Info. Your number one for talk. Let's talk.
This is Nigeria Info.